What's up, everybody? Jose Ortiz here from PetRockMedia.com and your gracious host of the Marvelous 13 podcast. And today's episode, we're going to talk about where have all the video games gone, with the major news of the upcoming next-gen consoles from PlayStation and from Xbox. We're starting to see a trend here of physical disc games kind of being thrown to the graveyard. And one of the things that we're going to talk about today is what are the benefits and pros versus the cons of ditching the physical disc and going strictly cloud-based gaming. We'll make more sense of that here in a bit. Once again, guys, thank you so very much for joining us on another edition of the Marvelous 13 podcast. Once again, I am your host, Jose Ortiz from PetRockMedia. You can search us on YouTube at youtube.com/PetRockMedia. And again, today's topic is going to be cloud-based gaming. Now, cloud-based gaming is not something that's new. It's been around since the launch of Sony's PlayStation Now and, of course, Xbox's Game Pass. So the topic and the thought behind it has been around for quite a while. I believe PlayStation Now launched late 2016, early 2017, and then Xbox Game Pass shortly thereafter. Now, some of the benefits to this is obviously having tons of games at your disposal to play without having the need to go and purchase these physical copies. So again, a benefit is, hey, I feel like playing Halo. I'm going to download Halo, but while that's downloading, I'm also going to be playing another game that I have, Call of Duty. So you have the ability of downloading some games back and forth and whatnot. Now, the pro to that is that you're physically downloading the game. Some of these services that plan on coming online, and if I'm not mistaken, what I've been reading is these next systems are going to be cloud-based gaming solely, meaning you never have the game physically on your console. You're strictly streaming it from servers that PlayStation or Xbox have. Now, the con to that is that you will need to have a lightning fast internet connection. A lot of you people who do not have access or the ability to have a hardwired network in your home and your console be hardwired by Ethernet port, this might present some problems, especially if you're wanting to game in higher resolutions. So there's a pro and con to this whole cloud gaming concept. Okay, so again, the idea behind it, although awesome and sounds pretty amazing to never have to really purchase games because you'll have them all on your console, the con to that is that you'll need to have strictly very high internet connection and a lot of bandwidth, okay, because the bandwidth is going to be where everything bottlenecks. If your provider limits you and data caps you on the bandwidth that you're allowed to have each month, then that's also going to present a problem, because the last thing you want to do is mid-game find out that you are exceeding your bandwidth cap, and that's either going to charge you a whole lot of money to continue the game, or you're going to have to stop it, wait till the end of the month, and your data cap resets, and then you'll be able to pick the game up where you left off. So that's something to think about when it comes to this whole cloud gaming vision, if you will, that they have for the future from our big game console manufacturers. Nintendo doesn't really have anything, to my knowledge, that's strictly cloud-based gaming other than their online service. Now, their online service is pretty cool as far as the games that you offer, but again, we're talking about 8-bit style games, which do not really require a ton of computing, a ton of space, a ton of bandwidth required. None of that compared to these AAA game titles like Call of Duty, the new Halo, and so forth, that are going to demand a high bandwidth and a high amount of internet speed in order for you to load your games. Now, if they have a way to do this in the background and use hardware and software versus needing your internet connection to be incredibly fast, then I'll stand corrected when we see that. But from what I've seen now, you're going to have a damn good internet connection and almost unlimited bandwidth cap to be able to go through these games, play through them comfortably, and not have to worry about if you're going to exceed your data limit for the week or for the month. Some other theoretical advantages to cloud gaming. We'll go ahead and continue on with some pros. There's really not going to be no need for expensive hardware. And what I mean by that is that if you're going to strictly stream off of a cloud-based server, it's the server that's going to have to keep up with the video game. So the servers are going to need constant upgrading. However, that burden now no longer falls on the consumer's pockets, if you will. It should fall into the pockets of the manufacturer and the individuals who are providing that particular stream. So Sony, Microsoft, potentially Nintendo, and so forth. Now, as a business model, you are almost 100% guaranteed that somehow they are going to pass those costs along to you. With the new system potentially being cheaper, which I haven't heard that, but again, if they do keep the price of the system cheaper, they're going to figure out a way to charge you for the service to kind of counteract their upgrades and their costs on that side. So even though you no longer have to worry about upgrading as often, you're still going to have those costs passed on to you, because as a business model, primarily it's about profits, and these major companies are always going to figure out a way to somehow get those upfront costs that they are having to endure back by passing them on to the consumers. Now, something that has made its way into the news again is this talk of being able to play on multiple platforms and potentially multiple devices. So with cloud-based gaming, theoretically, one great advantage would be able to have individuals who play on iOS or Android, potential tablets, phones, and so forth, join in on games that are currently ongoing with somebody, let's say with a PlayStation 5 or whatever they call it, and a new Xbox 2 or whatever they decide to call it. So in theory, you'll have multiple players from multiple platforms, if you will, joining in on the same game. So if we have a Call of Duty massive multiplayer match going on, you can have somebody on a PlayStation, somebody on an Xbox, potentially maybe somebody on a PC, and then somebody on an Android phone or tablet or an iOS phone or tablet. And it's cross-platform gameplay ability, if you will, is something to really geek out about, because that's something that's really cool. If I pick up an iOS tablet, I can have the same experience, if you will, online and virtually as if I were to pick up a controller for my Xbox One or Xbox 2 or whatever, or my new PS5 or so forth. So again, in theory, that does sound amazing, but we'll wait to see what comes of all of this implementation from all the different big box manufacturers, if you will. Along with that, we have seen Samsung and Sony, specifically Sony, implement gameplay into their televisions. So when I mentioned with Samsung having their own app store built in to their smart TVs, Sony attempted this as well with their Sony TVs having PlayStation Play built into them. And what that was is it allowed you to stream from your PS4 onto your TV, but you had a controller and it was connected to your TV and you just fired it up. So having said that, this cloud-based gaming can be potentially awesome when it comes to playing and gaming anywhere you are. They attempted it a little bit with the PS Vita with remote play, where you were allowed to remote in to your PlayStation and strictly play on your PlayStation Vita from afar. But PlayStation never really backed and fully put all their focus and their development into expanding upon that, which I think was a real shame, because the PlayStation Vita was pretty awesome, but they just didn't put a lot of force behind that. And in my opinion, that's what caused it to ultimately not sell as well and ultimately just stopped. If you're looking for portability gameplay, you are looking at the king of that, and that is through Nintendo. Xbox has never really tried to do it mainstream. PlayStation has tried it with their PSP, their PSP Go's, their Vitas, and so forth, but it just never really took off. And that's a shame, because Nintendo basically has a monopoly in that area. Yes, you'll have your iOS devices, you'll have your Android devices, but Nintendo and themselves, they are kings when it comes to portable gameplay. Something to also think about is this notion of instant gameplay. And what I mean by that is, a lot of times now, there are tons of patches and downloads that you have to have before you can even begin to play a recently purchased physical copy of a game. With the implementation of a cloud-based game, updates will occur on other servers, which means that as a consumer, when you fire up the latest Halo, Call of Duty, Resident Evil, and so forth, the game will be at its finest. It'll be fully patched. It should be fully ready to go. Something almost similar to when you are playing on a PC and you update a game automatically. Somewhat similar to that, however, you are no longer needing to do the updating yourself. Even though you may have it triggered to automatically update, occasionally you will have to push a button to get that update at least installed. It may have already downloaded in the background, but you'll still have to install it yourself. Now that burden no longer falls on you and falls on the manufacturers and the servers that they're using and the service that they're providing to you, you no longer have to worry about that. So that's a huge plus for those of us who are tired of always needing to update, fire up the Xbox, remembering maybe before I go to work, hey, when I get home, I want to play this game, but is it fully updated? Because nothing sucks more than getting home from work, having a long day, and you want to relax and fire up a match of Halo or PUBG or something, and it pops up and says game cannot start until it's updated, and it's a 10 gigabyte update. Your internet isn't exactly super incredibly fast. It's fast, but not incredibly fast. And that update can take half an hour to an hour to fully download, install, and be ready. That is one of the worst feelings I ever have when I'm trying to get into a game and I have to wait because I'm at the mercy of a recent patch or update, and it will not allow me to skip it and play without it being installed. Now I get it. I understand that the gameplay needs to be level for everybody. If there's an update, each individual should have that. But again, there's nothing worse, in my opinion, than coming home, trying to play a game, and you're told, no, you cannot because you have to update this, and it could take a while. Then you have to realize, do I have enough storage? Because you have to have extra storage to download the update, yada, yada, yada. It becomes a huge pain in the butt. So going completely cloud-based could help with that. Now, I'm not saying it's certainly going to help 100%, but there is a possibility there, and there is a great available option to potentially not have to worry about having that happen each and every time you're trying to fire up and play a game. Now let's get to the disadvantages of cloud-based gaming. One of the ones that we all experience, especially if you are cord cutters or even have your cable TV done through the internet, such as DirecTV Now, Sling, and so forth. For those of us who do that or watch Netflix, Hulu, YouTube, everything, one thing that we deal with a lot is video compression. Now, what I mean by that is you filmed in 4K, you edited in 4K, you have a beast of a computer, PC or Mac or whatever, maybe you edited on a tablet, but you put all this time and effort into something, and then to upload it to a server and have them compress the crap out of your video file and have it look as if you filmed with peanut butter on the lens. There is nothing worse, in my opinion, as a creative than to see what I worked on tirelessly look like garbage on the screen. And it's no fault of my own. It is the fault of servers compressing video and particular servicers compressing the video down to save space, to save bandwidth, and still provide the product, but have it subpar, in my opinion. Now this, you can bet everything that this is going to be an issue if cloud-based gaming takes over. Because of the titles that we're looking at, because of the games that we're looking at, because of the massive rendering and just overall scenery that we're anticipating, all of this, all the modeling and so forth will take a lot of bandwidth. And with that, when you do not have enough bandwidth, your video will be entirely compressed. Now your game will be compressed. You'll see pixelations. You won't see as sharp images. You're going to start seeing all those little bells, and you're going to start seeing all these little cubes and things like that pop up because everything is being compressed so much and your internet provider cannot keep up with your game. And so you're going to start see that. You're going to see smearing, you're going to see game tearing, you're going to see a lot of that stuff. So it's something that you have to keep in mind. That is a potential error, and that's a potential roadblock that you are going to encounter if this goes full force and you are now introduced to nothing but cloud gaming. Secondly, as we talked about, bandwidth. Bandwidth is going to be king when it comes to this because cloud gaming services require a large amount of bandwidth, okay? Playing a game online can sometimes use more than 3 gigabytes per hour, not per day, not per game, per hour. And we all know as consumers, we want our games to be longer and longer and longer. 1888, The Order on PlayStation 4 got murdered and demolished in the media because it was a game that technically you can beat in one afternoon. We don't want that. We want these Final Fantasy style 80, 90, 100, 500 hour games that we put into, and we still can't beat it, but we want it because we want to feel we're getting our money's worth paying $70, $80 a game. This is why, and I'm going to go on a little rant here, but this is why microtransactions exist, because people on one side want the longer game, and then you have people on the other side that want to beat the game in 10 minutes and brag that they've beat the game, and they bought every single little thing known to man that hours and hours it takes to find. You bought it with a swipe of your credit card, and you were able to beat the game. You activated God mode, if you will, for those of us old retro gamers who remember activating God mode and allowing you to never take damage and just go right through. That's essentially what what you're doing when you're purchasing these microtransactions that do that. Okay, rant over. Now, playing a game that takes hours and hours and hours is going to take hours and hours and hours and hours and gigabytes and gigabytes and gigabytes worth of data, worth of bandwidth. And that is something that if you live in an area that provides you with data caps, okay, you're capped on your bandwidth, that's going to be something that you seriously need to look into, because you're going to be looking at not only paying for the service to allow you to stream the game, but now you're going to potentially have to pay more for your internet if you're needing more bandwidth in order for you to stream that game. So that's something to think about, because if you do have that issue in your area, that's something to think about, because it's going to cost you more money to be able to stream that game. Now, one thing that as PC gamers and online gamers and just gamers in general, one of the things that we also complain about a lot, and it's no fault of our own, is latency. Okay, now there's no way to get around it. Okay, games react to your actions much more quickly than when you're running on your local computer. Okay, so if you're playing a localized game that's installed, it's running off of your hard drive, there's zero latency for the most part. Okay, however, once you move that to a cloud-based storage provider or a cloud-based gaming provider, there's going to be latency. Okay, you got to think, it's not just you and maybe a friend doing a LAN party. It's not you and a couple of people. It's not even you going online, potentially playing a game that not a lot of people play. It's you and millions of people. Because remember now, if this happens, all of the people that come over from PlayStation, all the gamers that are coming over from Xbox are all going to be online along with you, which is going to create some incredibly large latency issues. Okay, so that's something to think about, that even though cloud gaming services and servicers could be extremely powerful on what they provide, you're always going to have latency, because there's no way for you to have a perfect zero latency free game experience when you're doing everything online. There's just no way around that. That's going to happen, and that's something that you need to keep in mind when or if this does occur. And if it's an option, and it's an option that you're trying to maybe take part of because you like the ability of having all these games at your disposal, that's something you're going to have to think about, because latency will be a huge pain in the butt. And that's something that you're going to have to think about down the road when you are deciding to play and pick up your controller and play the next game that you downloaded. So something to think about, guys. Now, the real question is this the wave of the future? Is this the future of gaming? We've seen NVIDIA come out with Project Shield. Okay, it was Android based, it was handheld, it had a little screen on it, and it had a controller built into it, which looked a little bit like an Xbox controller, PlayStation controller, so forth. It looked pretty nice, had a nice little screen on it. I think it was 3 inches or so forth. But it was a nice experience. I never personally owned one, but I did have friends that did own one, and I was able to play with it every now and then, and it was a nice experience. For me personally though, Nintendo was still king in this. However, Nintendo, prior to the Switch, never had real ability to get online while you were out and about. Okay, the Switch still can't do it because it doesn't have built-in cellular LTE. However, if you have a phone that has LTE built in and you have a mobile hotspot enabled, you can always throw that on there, connect with your Switch, and there you go. You're playing Nintendo online, courtesy of your phone's internet connection, set up as a hotspot, and now your Sony set up as a hotspot, and now your Switch is online, and now you're playing some of those cool retro games that they offer. But the real question is this the wave of the future? Okay, is gaming going to be completely online, completely cloud-based? In my humble opinion, I believe the answer is no. I do not see this being a full-fledged 100% online. For this point forward, we will never have physical games. There's always going to be the arena of buying and trading video games. Can't do that when it's all cloud-based. That's always going to be around. We as people love to keep something, potentially maybe become a hoarder. No disrespect to anybody who does that, but we like to save things, collect things that mean something to us. For those of us who have been around for a while playing Halo, from Halo 1, every single iteration of Halo I own the physical copy, and if they had a special edition steelbook, because Halo used to come out that way, I own it. ODST, Halo 2, all of those Halo Wars I own, because I'm a Halo fan, and I'm always on the hunt to find special editions. There's just something about having that in your hand. For me as a collector, I enjoy. Yes, there may be different options that you may have to pay for to unlock that feature, but when it's strictly cloud-based, there's no physical copy, so there's no way for you to feel like you own something. That's one of the biggest issues that people have with subscription models, whether it be online video things like Netflix. Can't really buy a movie anymore from Netflix. I mean, sometimes they'll sell them physical in stores, but a lot of times you can't. It's all online. Sometimes people want to own a physical copy. What if the power goes out? What if my internet goes out? What if I have bandwidth data cap limits and I want to watch the movie over and over? I want a physical copy. Same thing with games. My bandwidth runs out, but I still want to play Resident Evil 4 or 5 or whatever game you're trying to play, and there's just no physical copy for it. So I think there's still going to be the demand for physical gaming, but I do see this going the wave of the future as far as including all cross-platform individuals who all want to have one common ground and one common space to play these video games, because I do think that the future is cross compatibility, but I still think that physical games will still hold a place in a lot of people's hearts, especially us older gamers, because we've been around since physical copies since day one, where we had physical floppies, physical zip drives, zip disks, this physical CDs and so forth. And we always like to have that artwork. A good YouTuber that I constantly watch is Metal Jesus, and he has a ton of old school gaming artwork and art boxes. Those games back in the day had amazing art boxes and artwork on them, from Diablo to old flight simulator games to Warcraft, Starcraft, and so forth. Great artwork went into that, and we lost that because now everything is super small, super compact. Even current games nowadays don't have all of that artwork built into the case. So that's something, in my opinion, will still be around. How much longer? I hope it stays, but you never know, depending on the bottom dollar budget and just overall game plans that these companies have. I can see it completely going away. I'm hoping it doesn't, but I could see it potentially happening because of the fact that they're trying to save costs, cut costs, and printing physical discs, although super cheap, because it is, discs can be ridiculously expensive. A pack of CDs or DVDs or Blu-rays or so forth can be inexpensive, but cost of creating those things, keeping a warehouse up and going, even though a lot of it's automated, you still have to have somebody fixing, running, and so forth, quality control, things like that. So as a way to save costs, I could see it happening, but I'm hoping that that's something that does not take over, and I'm hoping that the wave of the future is a combined force of computing, online gaming, and physical disc gaming. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. This is a topic that I hold dear to me because I have been a gamer for a very, very, very long time, and I would hate for the overall experience to be watered down at the cost of us feeling like we're getting a better deal. Whereas if we were to just pay a little bit more money for a physical disc, we'd have a much better experience because it's going to run locally and it's going to be installed on a physical hard drive. Now, again, if they go the route of being able to download that game physically to my console and have a latent free and maybe a data free experience, only needing to provide the data for downloading the game, then that's something I can probably get on board with. Xbox is doing it now with one of their newest releases where it does not have an optical drive. It is strictly downloadable content. We'll see how that goes. But once again, guys, leave those comments down below. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe, punch that bell icon so you're notified each and every time we go live. This is Jose Ortiz from PetRockMedia.com and your gracious host of the Marvelous 13 podcast, signing out. Peace.